In this first video, I'm just going to be talking about some of the barriers to entry into oligopolistic markets. So we discussed yesterday about what an oligopoly is, and we discussed how they generally have two or three main providers that share a predominant share of the market. So they can be lots of small providers, but there are generally two or three big providers that will have a dominant say or a dominant market share in that industry. So the first barrier to entry into oligopolies is this idea of multiple branding. So that's when two or three major companies sell a whole range of different products to give the consumer the illusion that there's quite a lot of choice in the market. So it happens with shampoos, it happens with the most common example is with soft drinks. Basically what the companies do is they flood the shelf with a range of different products that are all belong to the one company to give the consumer the perception that there's a lot of choice in the market. And that way it's hard for other companies to enter the market because there's already plenty of products available. And there's a lack of shelf space as well. So multiple branding is when an individual company markets their product under separate and distinct brand names to give consumers the illusion of choice. So it's hard for people to enter the market. The next one, multiple branding is legal. You are allowed to do it. The next one is collusion, or otherwise known as cartel conduct. Okay, and this is common within oligopolies, but it is illegal. It's when two businesses work together to artificially raise the price of a good or service to eliminate competition. So a common example is with Visi and Amcor. They decided to get together, the two companies, to artificially raise their price and therefore make more money. Now, obviously in a perfectly competitive market this would be a waste of time. If two companies got together to restrict their output or raise their prices, then consumers will just go and buy it off somebody else. But if there's two or three main suppliers in a market, it's a good way to try and maximise your profits if you don't mind spending a bit of time in jail. So collusion is two businesses working together to artificially raise the price of their good or service or eliminate competition. So other examples of collusion also involve market zoning, which basically means that you might split the market in half and you might say that I will take this half of the market, the other supplier takes this half of the market. So in essence we're not competing against each other. So in Victoria I might take the east, if I was selling, I don't know, some random product like cardboard, I might take the east, let the other company have the west, so that we're not competing against each other. Okay, that is what we call market zoning. Another way that they might collude is what we call collusive bidding. That basically means very common in service industries. So, for example, there's two builders that are offering to build this major project. Okay, what they might do is the first time they might bid against each other. So the first project might say they'll do it for 500,000, and then the second company might say 450,000. They keep bidding lower and lower until someone accepts their tender or accepts their quote. So similar if you're getting your kitchen done or something at home. What collusive bidding is, basically instead of bidding against each other, they will take it in turns to bid on a product. So one company might bid one time, then the other one will bid the next time, and that way they're not undercutting each other's prices. They can keep the price high and make more money. Again, also illegal. And another thing they might do is work together to restrict supply, to artificially raise their prices. All ways that all involve all cartel conduct and all illegal. Okay, so at the moment the ACCC is looking heavily into the petrol companies, and they do this often to ensure they're not what we call price signalling, which basically means they're not letting each other know that they're going to artificially raise their prices, say on the weekend or say on a public holiday, to try and maximise their profits. Okay, that is illegal, and firms can get into a lot of trouble for doing that. They have to have a justifiable reason why they've raised their prices. That third one, that should say economies of scale. I don't know why it says collusion. Another barrier to entry is economies of scale, and we'll talk about that more when we look at oligopolies. Okay, the reasons we can collude in oligopolies is because there's only a few main sellers, and therefore consumers can't purchase the product of other businesses. When there are some smaller competitors, so like for example with Coke and Pepsi, there are some smaller providers of similar products, but because they're not completely homogenous, most people will still buy Coke and Pepsi. So even if Coke and Pepsi raise their prices from $2 to $3, they'd still dominate most of the market. So that's some reasons why collusion can still occur in oligopolies. Other strategies they might use, price discrimination. So price discrimination is when a business sells the same product, exactly the same product, at different prices to different people. So it's common in public transport where you've got concession cards for public transport, for medicines, cinema tickets, basically any services that you can't pass on to other people. So I don't want to be doing it with goods because you'll pass it on to you'll get your grandma to buy the chocolate or your grandma to buy your car and then you'll pass it on. But they can do it with services because you can't get your grandma to watch a movie for you. Businesses would like to price discriminate more. They want everyone, ideally they'd be able to charge everyone based on the value they put on the product, but that is not possible because they don't know exactly what you value the product at. And the last one is predatory pricing. Okay, a lot of this is in the news with the supermarkets trying to sell bread and milk for $1. The idea with predatory pricing is if you're deliberately trying to get rid of your competition, it is illegal. So if the government can prove that you acted in a way or lowered your prices to try and deliberately get smaller competitors out of the market, it is illegal. But they have to be able to prove it. Okay? And the idea of predatory pricing is that once the smaller firm leaves the market, the larger firm can raise their prices and enjoy significant profits because they have a lack of competition. Okay? Predatory pricing, selling at low prices to try and get rid of your competition and raising your prices again to try and generate more profits. And a legal strategy that oligopolies use to try and maximize their profits. Okay. Just quickly, last part of this video, the federal government has actually changed it. So what happened? The legal rule used to be that it was illegal if you were deliberately trying to get rid of your competition. What they've changed it now to is that you can still be banned from selling something at too low a price, even if you didn't mean to. What you were doing caused a lack of competition. So if Coles and Woolworths lowering their price to $1, even if they weren't deliberately trying to get rid of their competition, if that led to other businesses not being able to survive in that market, then they could be found guilty of predatory pricing, and therefore they wouldn't be allowed to lower their prices. Next video, we're going to talk about monopolists.